Hi, and welcome to this episode of Dreamers and Doers, where I interview people who follow their passion and use it to make the world better. And I think that's you, Nisa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alex, for inviting me to this amazing podcast. And really excited and happy to share my experience.
Cool. So to give a little bit of background, I met Nisa 2 weeks ago, actually, because I did a Lomi-lomi Nui massage or bodywork training, and we'll talk about what this is. I was invited by my friend Zina. We spent a week in immersion doing massage. We'll explain more what it is. But first, as usual with my guest, Nisa, I'd love to ask you how you got into this Hawaiian type of massage, into bodywork in general.
Yes, I came across this bodywork of Hawaiian massage 20 years ago. I was at the time finishing my university degree, and I was at the time of my life when I would suffer from a lot of pain, depression. I had kind of no idea what my life is about, and so I was looking for help. Basically, I was in deep depression. I was going to some psychotherapy, and I came across a psychotherapist who was also Lomi-lomi practitioner, and he was combining psychotherapy with the Lomi, and I was receiving I think about 20 sessions from him, and it was tremendously transforming my life. I was coming up into more feelings. I was more into my body, more, I just started feeling basically, and it was huge transformation for me. And I was fascinated. What is this? How come this 10 session of massage can so deeply transform my life? And there was a moment when I started questioning what is my life purpose, what I want to do, what is my life mission. So after university, I was still continuing with corporate work. I was graduating from engineering, and then being in corporate world. And after a few years in corporate work, I start already questioning that my real purpose on this planet, because the discovery of my soul and discovering of my body through the Lomi-lomi open up. I think it was a moment when it opened up my my spiritual quest, and it opens up my curiosity. What is really longing of my soul, and how I can manifest my soul into my body, into my mind, and just kind of like harmonize and combine this trinity, body, mind, spirit, into happy living, basically. And that was a beginning for me 20 years ago. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I got to experience this. It's interesting that you talk about therapy and the massage. Like, I've done a lot of meditation, and I'm always interested in how the mind works. Do you feel people forget a bit to take care of the body sometimes and focus too much just on the mind?
I think there's tendency that sometimes we go into the mind, or into the astral realms of our body, kind of going into upperworld, underworld, and going into deep meditations. And the reason for this could be disconnecting from the physical body. So for me, it is always important to keep body, mind, and spirit together. So even in meditations like Vipassana, where you sit and you just observe, it's still anchored to the body. It's still anchored to our sensations, to the felt sense. So you basically not only floating upward into the astral world, not this without dissociation from your body, but you're staying in the body. And the main reason for me is that our body remembers all the trauma. Our body remembers every past experiences, and we have to stay within the body, within the felt sense, to really be more aware about our life. 1 second, sorry. Please talk to Palina. I'm busy right now. Yeah, I will finish in 20 minutes. Yeah.
You're in
Sorry.
Bali at the moment for your next training, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bali and for next training, and I had a friend who was fixing something with internet. So yeah,
that always happens.
yeah.
Let's go to more about Lomi-lomi, because so I did that training 2 weeks ago. I was attracted to it because I felt like sometimes there can be a bit of disconnection from the body and from touching of other people. So in the past 2 years, I've become more easy with touching, with even things like hugs. So I feel was really important for me to become more and more comfortable with touch. Touch is beautiful. And that's why I did this training, which was amazing. I actually gave my first session this morning, and touch is very healing. I can feel it for myself also as I give it. So what is Lomi-lomi Nui?
Lomi-lomi Nui is a Hawaiian bodywork coming from Polynesia. Was performed by kahunas, shamans, on the special altar for hours or days. And basically it was designed to really go deeper into our body, but connecting through the body to elements of nature, connect through the body to the prayer, to the spirit, because it includes a lot of intention. Each session starts from intention, from the prayer, and we bring 7 different elements like earth, sky, water, plants, animals, stones, and human beings. Those 7 elements in Lomi-lomi Nui take a big part of the healing, where we can start acknowledging that we are not separated. What I mean by that, that all in universe lives in our body. Our body is like a little, small, huge universe that represents everything that is in nature. And we cannot separate ourselves from nature. And lately we have been facing all these fires in Australia where, you know, where some species almost die, like koalas, and millions of animals died. A lot of trees has been burned out. And so, and that will be resulting in some ways into the ecosystem, into our body also, because that ecosystem we are all creating. So I think it's very important in Lomi-lomi to acknowledge all these life forces that are within us, but also they're outside of us, and taking care of those resources that are within and outside, and being aware that our loving presence to all environment can tremendously impact our life and lives of others. And that healthy living in close connection to the nature can impact our happiness, our joy, and our life. So basically Lomi is also a direct meaning of Lomi-lomi Nui is Lomi means to stroke, to massage, to squeeze. So it's kind of massage, and Nui is the soft paw of the cat. So if you are a Lomi-lomi Nui practitioner, you see that we're using this soft, nice forearm and the palm to stroke beautifully across the body to bring that soft and loving nourishment. Big part of Lomi-lomi Nui is connecting to our heart, to our compassion and our presence, and transmit that presence and full acceptance, unconditional love to our clients, to people who are receiving. So it's a deeply transformative, not just because it brings the strokes and techniques, but there is a full philosophy behind it. There is full lifestyle, and there is full spiritual background that we bring into the sessions.
Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit more about the philosophy and the lifestyle. But just in terms of the work on the body in itself, why do I feel so blissful after? What happens to my body? What does it release? What does it work on?
Yes, good question. Very good question. You know, our touch has tremendous power for many reasons. Touch can be used for body alignment, working with the tissue, with the fascia, with the myofascia, with the core muscles. to align the body, to bring areas of the body which are disaligned, tense, and immobilized. For example, I notice very often in our society suffers from a lot of pains. Pain becomes like epidemic in our society. More people suffering from pain syndrome than heart attack or obesity. So it becomes huge. And so through the touch, we impact the soft tissue. We release the tension in the soft tissue, maybe sometimes in the shoulders or in the legs or pelvis. And by releasing that tension, we open up more fluidity in the body. We are in 70% of water, and when that water start drying up, it creates adhesions. It creates like layers of muscles start gluing together, and we become stiffer, and the pain start contracting, and the soft tissue basically start contracting, pulling on the nerve ending nociceptors, creating some pain. So this is the main thing. The other thing, when we are touched, our body start releasing oxytocin, dopamine, the feeling good enzymes. So we are triggering all this chemical release in our body. So we feel good, so we feel bliss, we feel happy. Like you mentioned, why do I feel so happy after Lomi-lomi? Because all this amazing, oxytocin running through our body. So we open, the body is flexible, and all the energy that now was stuck in the body that has been released through the touch is freely flowing through our core. Yeah, and our body is designed that energy is flowing. We're not stagnant. You can imagine a pond and a lake or river. So the stagnant, what's happening in the pond, the water becomes stagnant, become muddy, become heavy, and then versus the the stream or the lake where there's constant flow of the water, when water is clean, crystal flowing. And so this is similar comparison. If we don't open up that energy for the body, if we have wrong diet, if we don't move our body, if we have a sitting lifestyle, that water in our body, that 70% of water, become like a stagnant, muddy pond. Versus when we take care of our diet, when we have healthy, organic, natural food, we drop sugar, we start moving, we start receiving massage, and open up all this flow, and all these 30 trillion cells in our body now is flowing in this fluid, beautiful matrix, and that brings a lot of happiness, a lot of joy in our life. So that's what, in essence, that's what happens when we are massaging and receiving Lomi-lomi Nui.
And I found that there was also, thanks so much. I found there was also a lot of release, like deep release, almost maybe trauma release. Or when you go to a session, people, including myself, in one session can feel anger going out, or next minute an orgasm, and next minute laughing hysterically. And from the research I've done recently, a lot of emotions, they're not really in our minds. They are stored somewhere physically in the body. So can you talk a little bit about how Lomi-lomi helps to actually release trauma too?
Yeah. So as you mentioned very, very nicely, that our body stores, our body remembers. So let's say in the childhood or somewhere in our life, we had a traumatic event. I don't know, car hit us, or or somebody shouted at us, or any sort of abuse. When our sympathetic flight or fight is activated in the first stage of traumatic event, and in the second stage, when the external impulses are too strong to fight or flight, the parasympathetic freezes. And what it does, a tremendous amount of fear at this point implode into the soft tissue. And if that is not completed, released, expressed, it becomes emotions stored in our body, also creating belts of tension. And we might be stored all over the body, those belts of tension that is basically memory of trauma. So in Lomi-lomi Nui, what we're doing, we're working throughout the body, And we are opening that stuck armor that was created in traumatic event, and that armor start melting down. And if we breathe into it, if we bring awareness to the felt sense, very often behind opening of that armor, there's tremendous amount of feelings that has not been expressed in traumatic event in the past. So in the session now, all those feelings are available for the person to express. Hence, you might see on the table people going into all sort of feeling, as you mentioned, anger, sadness, rage, fear. So all those feelings, they're constantly running in our body, but due to disconnection, disassociation from traumatic event, we lost connection to those feelings. And by releasing and expressing now those feelings, we are de-armoring our body again and creating much flow in our body, so it becomes that stream, fluid stream again, not a stagnant muddy pond. So that's in essence why there's so many feelings coming up, because we opening body, and the body wants to express through the movement, through the sound, through the breath, and of course through the emotion. So it's an integrated part of Lomi-lomi Nui to invite and create a safety space for emotions to emerge.
That's amazing. And I remember something you said also during the training, like an animal, if it gets a trauma, let's say you hit it a bit on the road, it will shake. Yeah. And that's the way they release the emotion and the trauma. And after the shaking, it's like, okay, I'm all good now. And just live its life.
Yeah. And you can see it, exactly that way, yeah.
And there's something I wanted to chat on also, talking about trauma. There's something in our society around touch, but also around sensuality, around being naked, or we can push it around sexuality, where there's a lot of conditioning about being really uncomfortable with all these. So what's interesting also with Lomi-lomi Nui is, of course, we're always respectful of what the person agrees and consents, but it's usually performed naked with just the genitals covered, and it can be quite sensual. So for example, when I was on the table, sometimes I could get feeling a little bit of sexual energy coming, of arousal. I could see the judgment I would have around this. So I thought it was really interesting to see how I was comfortable with nakedness, with sensuality, and even with sexuality arising even sometimes when it was, for example, like men massaging me. And I thought it was really interesting to process how I was looking at this. How do you feel Lomi-lomi maybe helps people with being more comfortable with things like being touched in a sometimes sensual way, also being, naked around people or almost naked, and being comfortable even being aroused in an environment where it's non-sexual?
Yes. Yes, beautiful question again. I think there's a lot of shame in our society, and I think that shame of nudity, of sexuality, of sensuality comes from the religion. Somehow, for some reason, it was kind of implemented in our society that that created shame. So we are not comfortable in our body, because people who are ashamed of their body, they are disempowered, because they are not feeling good in their own divine temple. And so by having society which is ashamed of their body, it's much easier to control. It's much easier to implement rules and obligations, because people who are free from shame, you might see that they are more free, they're more independent, they're more happy. So I think a big part of that whole concept is about shame, and I see people get a lot of healing from shame through Lomi-lomi Nui, because we're coming into very loving and acceptance space, and that nudity that we bring in Lomi-lomi Nui is a sacred space. It's a sacred space where people can trust and surrender to the idea that they can be touched or seen even in their nudity, and that brings tremendous amount of healing. And I have often people coming to the training, and they share in the opening circle that one of the reasons they are here because they want to, transform or look deeper into where is this shame coming from and what is this shame for in my body. And of course, we never touch genitals. It's not tantric massage. So we respect always receivers' boundaries about, covering the breast or and never touching genitals. So we never go in these areas, but still it's about bringing that loving aloha presence to the receiver, so they can feel acknowledged in that nudity, and that amount of healing that happens through that acknowledgement, being seen with love and acceptance, is tremendously healing. So, and another aspect that you mentioned about is that, arousal, or that sensual part of Lomi that can be triggering a lot of sensuality, even sexual arousal. So for me, the way I see our energy is flowing, and that can result also in arousal. They can result in some, kind of, the feelings can comes up in the session, and it's all about staying present to it, bringing Ika, the first principle, which is awareness, and just breathing into our arousal and observing that, and stepping back, just being a watcher of ourselves and stepping back from it and coming back to that pure essence, and still being service from that unconditional love, no matter what is also happening in terms of our energetical flow in the session. So that's and that's beautiful, because we also in Lomi-lomi Nui go interpersonal. So there's no anymore man, woman, because we both have inside inner feminine, and even if we are men, there's feminine qualities, and for women there's masculine qualities. So in essence, we are interpersonal beings, and when we close eyes and we feel that loving, beautiful massage, it doesn't matter from men or women, it's interpersonal anymore. And that's beauty for Lomi, that we don't anymore judge, or this is man, this is woman, this is white, black, old, young, but we're going out of that conditional box, what we think about sexuality, what we think about touch, and simply allowing ourselves to receive and observe what's happening when we are receiving, where we're receiving.
Yeah, and as the person who gives the massage, right? As you said, you want to be a channel for unconditional love, and you don't make it personal, which I thought was really interesting. Well, first to get out of the way, and even that's interesting because for me also at first, when I understood I should be giving love, I was almost forcing it, like imagining I am love, and I'm sending all my love power to the person. And that's actually very personal and coming from the ego, like I am love, was just being a channel for love and being out of the way and making it really not like it's me, but just it flows through me, right?
Yeah.
So we touched quite a bit on the Hawaiian philosophy. Do you want to chat a little bit about maybe how the Lomi-lomi philosophy, you say, was way more than, a massage? It's also a philosophy, a lifestyle. Can you talk about how this, like a little bit about the principles maybe, and how this inspired you to live a better life? Because as you said, which is the seventh principle, effectiveness is the measure of truth, which is a principle I loved. So yeah, what is that philosophy?
Yes, Pono, beautiful. Effectiveness is a measure of truth. So that Hawaiian philosophy and Huna principles that comes in Lomi-lomi for me is a life map. For me, it's 7 major principles that I use every day to align my body to live my full potential, to align my body to feel with joy, happiness, health, and share it with the world. And so these 7 principles, really, I was looking for a map many years ago when I moved to India. I was traveling around India, America, Thailand, Bali, and I was, doing a lot of different research and studies on different modalities or different spiritual approaches, and always kind of looking for map, trying to make it make a sense for me. And the moment I came across that modality of 7 principles from Huna, it started making total sense, and somehow that map is guiding my life. Yeah, and so there's different principles. Like first one is Ike, about awareness. And I will try to put it like really short, because I could talk for another probably an hour about this. But awareness is all about our belief system, how we see the world. Glass half full or half empty. So it's all about bringing that awareness to what we think, what we do, how we act, bringing responsibility for our life, not blaming anymore. They did it to me, it happened to me, but just basically I am responsible. And it's all about I am statement. The second one is Kala, and it's freedom, and it's about oneness with universe. I was talking about it a little bit before. When we're not separated, everything what's inside our body is also outside of our body. All the nature, all the universe is represented by what's inside. And then when we understand that freedom, when we understand that energetical concept, that everything is energy and nothing is separated, this Aka cords, that we all connected, all humanity is somehow connected, and living in this symbiotic balance with all the universe, we start understanding that my actions have a kind of domino effect to almost whole world. So bringing that freedom is tremendously important for me to see that there's no limits. Everything that happens in my reality is because I have certain limitation over something, or I can look on things with more open and infinite possibilities mindset. And the third one is Makia, which is focusing, and whatever we focus in, we bring into our manifestation. So that's a powerful one that was talked a lot in the movie The Secret, where we focus our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and our actions. So we have 20,000 thoughts every day, and each thought is an atom that has possibility to create our reality. So if we start paying attention to what we're thinking, what we're saying, what we're doing, what we're feeling, we start focusing in things that are important, to have that clear vision or life mission, and then aligning our life, aligning our action to focus on those things that are important for us. And then we have Manava, which is presence, a beautiful one. And now is the moment of power. So everything that happens in this moment is what we're creating. We tend to go into the past or the future and hanging in those spaces, really losing that powerful connection, which is here and now, that creates actually our future. Because if here and now I focus on my joy, on my happiness, on my presence, on abundance, on creating beautiful things right now, what's going to be my future like? It's going to bring more of those qualities that I'm focusing right now. If I am in the state of depression, if I'm in a state of moaning and complaining right now in this moment, what's going to be my future like? Most likely I will have difficulty to create my passionate and full of joy life, because what I'm focusing on in this moment here now are kind of negative thoughts, negative feelings. So bringing that awareness to here and now is a powerful place that actually creates it all. And then we have, of course, aloha, the fifth one, which is to love is to be happy with. In Hawaiian means that love is the major quality to be happy. We cannot be happy without love. And the opposite of that is fear. So every moment I catch myself into fears in my life, first I observe the sensations of the fear, checking, okay, what's this fear about? Is that real right now? And most likely it is the fear that is illusion, the fear that is nothing to worry about. It's something that I carry on from the past. And by understanding that in the present moment, I shift that fear and come back to my heart, maybe do some exercises like breathing, a little bit of breathing, of movement to move my body and come out of that contraction of the fear and bring the sensations of love, maybe putting hands on my heart, taking a few deep breaths and checking, okay, well, how is my heart today? Beautiful. And then from that space, I can start expanding my heart space and moving into the loving presence. And then the sixth one is mana, which is inner strength. So what I mean by that is that we tend to give away our power by blaming others, by blaming our past, by blaming our parents, by blaming this or that, by blaming our society, place we were born, our genetical conditioning, and all sort of things, by saying, you did it to me, it happened to me, you know. And all these moments is where we take this power away from ourselves. And mana is how we can bring consciousness and say, I am master of my universe. I am master of my feelings, of my emotions, of my actions, and check where I give that power away and bring that power to I am statement. Basically, I am. And that's where we bring that power into ourselves and we can live more fulfilled life. The difficulty why people give a power away, because being in this empowered state brings a lot of vulnerability, because we take responsibility in this space for our feelings. So how we can now be vulnerable, for example, sometimes to show our sadness or express our rage or anger or ecstasy even. Like people feel guilty when they feel ecstatic or blissful. How weird is that? When all society should be proud of humans who are happy, joyful, blissful. We should like emphasize, put them on pedestal. And what happens? No, we push those qualities down. We somehow, society tends to neglect those people. It's afraid of those people. So when we are in this state, we sometimes go and feel, oh, I cannot feel bliss. What did we say about it? So mana is all about it. Taking responsibility, showing up with myself without guilt and without shame, and showing this is me, and I don't really care what you say about me, because this is my life. And if you cannot accept my bliss, then live your life your way, you know, and I will live my life my way. And then last one you mentioned already is pono, which is wisdom. Effectiveness is a measure of truth. So there's no one dogmatic truth. Each one of us is finding their way for life, is finding their way for wisdom, for love, for compassion, for our feelings. And we cannot say this is one way or the other. When we bring love and awareness and we bring happiness to our life, there is as many ways to be in this state as human beings. So each one of us has different ways to do it. And that's beautiful, because it gives that acceptance for our differences. Yeah, we tend to feel like everybody should do our way because we figured it out. So you have to do it. And we sometimes coach people, you know, if you want to be happy, you have to do point 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to be happy. How we can do that? It's impossible. We are in different place in life, in different ways of our understanding of spiritual growth, and so we have to take it all into consideration, that each one of us will have different ways to get there, different pace to get there, and so that is a beautiful way to say you are divine and I'm divine, and we are both okay. So those are 7 major principles that I love bringing to my life. If I go through some difficulties in life, I close my eyes for a moment, I connect to all 7 principles, and I look, okay, what in this moment I can adjust, and which principle I can use to go back to my essence and live my full potential.
Yeah, these are so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love how that's something I've been pondering quite a bit. And I love how it's put simply, but really effectively. When you think about mana, so it's like that inner strength of taking responsibility for manifestation, right? In Kala, you said you manifest your life. You have that freedom. And that's where I came up, like the past 2 years, looking a lot, like seeking for the truth. In a way, that's a bit where I landed. It's, well, the truth is that I can manifest my world, is that I create meaning for life. So in the end, is the world a violent place, or is the world a beautiful place? Well, they're both true, right? I can choose. If I choose that the world is going to be a violent and terrible place, I'm right. It's going to manifest like this. If I choose that it's a beautiful place and like a beautiful festival almost where everyone have fun, well, that's the reality I'm going to create, and that's going to be true too. So then which one do I choose? Well, I choose the one where I'm happy, where I feel good, right? And that becomes my choice. It's the one that's effective. So yeah, that really spoke to me in a way. Instead of searching for truth, almost creating what's going to work for me, and this becomes my truth. And because different ways can be truth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's beautiful what you said, that they're both truth. Actually, work is beautiful, and in the same time there's a lot of abuse in the world, and that also exists too. So for me, the way I see it, I see work as a beautiful place, and I act from that space, but acknowledging also all the abuse. But for me, I don't like going into usually when I have somebody going into some philosophical dispute with me about it, I don't like talking about it, because there's no point to talk about it. What is the point is to make an action. If you feel like world is not a good place, then fix it. You know, if there is a fires around you, go get your shit together and go help in this fire. If you feel there is, you know, poverty, go and help poor people, but do action, don't talk about it. We tend to talk about things, and of course it's beautiful, we can bring that philosophical wisdom, but talking won't change anything. And the more we talk about some things, actually we emphasize those qualities. So if we talk about poverty, if we talk about that abuse, we're going to emphasize. So why don't we just acknowledge, yes, those qualities exist, and how we can connect, how we can gather our community and make an action to help this, and you know, this situation, without just going too much into philosophical. So yes, I see also part of the world that needs helping, and whenever I feel possibility, whenever I feel how I can contribute to that, and I have a clear action plan for it, I really love to acknowledge what we have to do to change the world to be even better place. And then you have all the beautiful things that we can see in the world, like, you know, you here in Bali, and you see a lot of beautiful spiritual community that meditate, that, you know, bring that awareness of how we can live also sustainable life using natural you know, powers, you know, electrical powers or wind powers, and how we can create all this positive impact on the world. So yeah,
Thank you for sharing. And that could be another very long discussion. I've been pondering a little bit recently, and it's hard to find the answer, but how much I want to put my focus on the positive, and because it creates my reality in a way. At the same time, acknowledging that there is suffering, acknowledging that we want to place a little bit of awareness on things we want to change, and not completely, you know, not see it. but maybe that balance on being aware. But as you said, being aware, and if you can help, do it, and that's great. But if you're not taking action, there's no point focusing too much on it.
Yeah.
Tricky balance.
And I think the most we can help the world if we come to our full potential, if we connect with our love, if we start overflowing with that love, and that can be the most transformative things that we can do to the world. Because when we live in the state of our full potential, all we can do is good to the world. If you are happy, fulfilled, and with aligned with your vision, helping others, supporting others, or you think of how you can support it. You don't think about how you can destroy it. You think about creative ways to bring more beauty in the world. Plus, by sharing and overflowing with this love and with your energy, you have more energy to support others. If you are in a state of depression, or you see things all the time in positive colors, how you can find yourself in a state to help others? Like, it's impossible. So I think our responsibility is to align ourselves with our heart in the first place, and share that with the world. And this is the biggest gift we can do to make the world a better place, I think.
100%, I agree. That's why I'm more focusing on raising consciousness, and I feel that then when people are happier, more conscious, it waterfalls on helping the environment, helping other people, helping the planet and animals, and all of this. I have a last question quickly before we wrap it up, Nisa, which I like to ask: what's the impact you want to have in the world?
I think I want to continue what I'm doing, because it gives me a lot of fulfillment, and I think the impact I do on others is I inspire others to come out of their fear and find their passion, find their love, what they love doing, come back to their bodies, open up for love, for compassion. And this is what I'm doing for last 11 years. And I just want to have strength and health to keep on continuing and impacting others to finding their mission and being more healthy, more joyful, and more happy and abundant in this planet, because we have unlimited possibilities to be, do, and feel whatever we want, and create anything that we just imagine. So dream big, act, and fulfill your mission is what I want to inspire others, what I discover in my life. And this is the impact I want to leave, the legacy I want to leave at the moment. Just by my own example, walking my talk, and showing up for my community, showing up for my family with more awareness and more love and presence.
And you definitely inspired me. Thank you so much, Nisa. Maybe even a last word on this, which I'm always interested, on top of the knowledge you've already shared, on people who follow their passion and make a living. You know, I vibe for people doing what they love and making a living, even making a lot of money doing what they love. I think it's great. So do you want to talk a little bit quickly how you built your life around doing what you love, when some people feel they have to get a corporate job or their university degree?
Yes,
because you're traveling around the world doing what you love. And that's an epic life. Like you were in Australia and you just flew to Bali to give a new training.
Yes. My life is epic. I'm very happy about it. And I think biggest change happened in my life when I changed belief system, that I have to work hard, not enjoy my work, and make good money, but by working hard. And that was happening after I graduated from my university, working for big international corporation in England, making very good money, but being exhausted, being not happy, being drawn, just not enjoying. And then quitting that, going to India and start discovering that massage and body work and working with people is something that I'm very passionate about. And first years were very, very difficult in terms of finances, because I was still lingering to this idea that you cannot charge for what you love doing. Like, how you can do what you love doing and ask for money for gratification. And I work with this concept over a few years, and then something shifted around 2012, I think. And the moment it shifted, it started flowing. And I think it's a mindset that now is that I have the feeling that I am abundance, basically. I am abundance, and I love sharing, and money, income, and material abundance, because this is one part of abundance, flows. And I'm very happy at the moment, financially very fulfilled, and I don't feel guilty about making great money teaching spirituality, because that's another concept many people have, that I cannot be wealthy if I am spiritual. Yeah, and it comes also from religious conditioning, that priests, you know, or monks live in the cave, and they have to suffer, and they have to kind of let go of this material part of the world. No, for me, spirituality is part of it. Is part of how we can live the abundant and material life fulfilled, because why not? It's beautiful to be abandoned and afford whatever we want. And I feel this is all in mind. Again, Ike, our belief system around money and material goods.
Yeah, don't get this. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so if we change that, so first of all, it's best to look, okay, what do I believe about money? Make a list. I will invite you today maybe to make a list. What do I believe about, you know, my money? And then this is the first step. And then when we start realizing what limits our belief system, then how we can change it.
Yeah, and again, that's another big conversation. I have a couple of podcasts about money mindset, and we're running this because, again, like, don't get me started on this. I completely vibe with that. So thank you so much, Nisa. How can people follow you?
Thank you, Alex. The best, I think, is Instagram, which is my account called Nisarga Eryk. On Facebook, you can find my fan page as Nisarga Eryk Dobosz. And then you can follow me. I have two schools. One is in Poland called Integral Body Institute, which you can find in social media. And I have another school in Estonia, which is called Body Awareness Institute. And it's all schools that are promoting a healthy lifestyle through bodywork, breathwork, and meditation. So check it out and find me. I'll be happy to meet you and talk to you.
Thank you so much, Nisa.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Aloha. Hey.
Aloha. And thank you to the listener.